Slow-moving toxic mud is oozing out of two collapsed mines in Brazil. This environmental catastrophe continues to unfold as we speak. 9 people are now confirmed dead, almost 20 people unaccounted for, as a slow-motion killer moves downstream into the Rio Doce, polluting the water supply of hundreds of thousands of residents as it makes its way eventually into the ocean. Jose, this is happening in Brazil's mineral-rich state of Minas Gerais. 8 days after this collapse of this mine, it actually took out a town of Bento Rodrigues. We have some pictures if you think I'm exaggerating. It literally took out an entire town, brought it to the ground, leveled the place. Brazil's National Water Agency, ANA, they've warned that the presence of arsenic, zinc, copper, mercury, all things that are inside of this, what I call toxic ooze mud stuff, it's all present inside of this river now. We're talking about huge things that are going to come out of this. I mean, this is terrible. First off, all of these terrible things in the water take out the oxygen. Then it raises the temperature. They've effectively killed basically all aquatic life in that area for a 310-mile stretch. Not only have they killed all the aquatic life, but they've basically rendered that water untreatable for human consumption. So this is going to have huge repercussions, a huge weight on Dilma Rousseff's shoulders if she didn't have it already. On a visit, the president, Dilma Rousseff, she visited in a helicopter. She said this was possibly the biggest environmental disaster to have impacted one of the major regions of our country. What do you think?
Well, this is Dilma Rousseff, Katrina moment, but really the real threat to Brazil is Dilma Rousseff herself. She has 8% approval rate, probably a lot less after this. She's at the center of one of the biggest corruption scandals where the Petrobras, the main oil company that is state-owned, had a system of kickbacks, a big corruption scandal, protests, hundreds of thousands of people coming to the streets asking for her resignation. And that at that junction, we see that there's one of this massive environmental hazard going on. And the reason these things are happening is because of the level of corruption that has grown since Dilma Rousseff took office.
Oh, well, without a doubt. But I do, want to concentrate on this alone. And, one could possibly make the point, our dependence on these kinds of things, whether it is oil, whether it's these minerals being taken out of the ground in these mines, they're not just using it for Brazil, for example. We can't just blame it on them, right? These are huge companies extracting things from the earth, and it goes to all of us. Everyone's responsible for this kind of pollution, and therefore, we need to be responsible when something like this happens. Samarco, that's the company that is behind everything that's happening here. They clearly did not have any sort of plan of action in case of disaster. They had no alarm system in place, for example. This stuff is literally just shooting down these rivers, taking out towns, and there's really nothing you can do about it. How do you go about cleaning up, billions and billions, okay, I'm exaggerating, not billions, but, hundreds of thousands of gallons, maybe millions that are just, streaming through rivers and going through towns. There's really nothing you can do.
More than dirt and water. Exactly. It's not like a spill where you could use agent that clean the spill. This is something that is just spreading out and in its way taking water sources for communities. It's like you said, I think that's the most important part. We are rendering many bodies of water around Brazil, around Minas Gerais, unusable for the future. And I think that's the real consequence of a system of corruption that allows these multinational companies to come into these countries and do business without the minimum safety measures and the protocol to be followed. And there's no way for the Brazil government because there's money. And there's not only on this, Brazil has a big problem with deforestation in the Amazon because of the same thing. There's corruption that allows these companies to go and do business without no oversight.
Yeah, Samarco right now, over $12 billion have been knocked off the value of their shares. They're going to lose out big time. The Federal Environment Agency so far has only fined them $66 million. That's not the final cost, though, because you have to take it into account the financial damage that's going to come, that they're going to have to be liable for. Again, not including the cleanup either. Yeah. So there's a lot of money that they're going to potentially lose. Again, they're housing 580 people that had to be evacuated in hotels. They're going to have to pay for that. They're also going to have to pay for the relocation. But then there's the things that you can't pay for, that you can't just fix, the kind of things you can't just throw money at, like damaging an entire stretch of a river, and a river that, you know, people expect that they're going to be able to get water from that river to drink. You know, we're not used to that kind of stuff living in the big cities, living in America, but in Brazil, a lot of people depend on that river, and not just this one city, Bento Rodrigues, that got taken out. I'm talking about numerous rivers, right? We're talking about hundreds of miles stretching that's just been completely overrun by this toxic sludge, if I can call it that.
And if you think about it, this is the country that is going to host the next Olympics, a place where people from all around the world are going to come to Brazil to celebrate the sport and the camaraderie, and what they'll find is, you know, bad quality in the water where they'll be competing, corruption, protest, and now a whole stretch of the river in one of the biggest, most industrial areas of Brazil completely decimated by, you know, corrupt multinational companies that just, you know, they don't care.
Right, and you know, as the population gets bigger and bigger on this earth, we're going to need more and more of these mines taking out precious minerals and oil. So I think, unfortunately, as much as I hate to say this, I think we can only expect more huge disasters from Samarco, other companies like BP, all around the world.